Hi everyone, how's it going? Johnny here from Johnny Cooks Food, and we're here today to make a banging halloumi wrap. It's all Greek inspired. I'm not saying it's going to be totally Greek, but you know what? It's going to be pretty good. So, step back, let's have a little look at what we're going to make and have this lovely, tasty street food wrap. Alright everybody, just before we get started, just want to remind you all to go to Blade Masters UK, use the code JohnnyCooks to get 10% off, and you can get yourself a fine premium whetstone to make sure all of your knives are lovely and razor sharp for all of your cooking needs. So remember, Blade Masters UK, code JohnnyCooks, 10% off. Go see them now. Cheers. Alright everyone, so let me show you what we are going to be making today. And the ingredients we're going to use. So like I said, we are going to be doing that halloumi wrap inspired by Greece. So here we have our halloumi. I'm going to give this a soak in just a second just to take that brine off. We've got some natural yogurt to go with the flour, and we're going to make a flatbread out of it. And also we've got some mint sauce here, so we can turn it into like almost like a tzatziki with some grated garlic in there as well. This is some pomegranate and mango chutney. I'm going to use that just to add some sweetness. We've got some red onion, some lettuce. That's going to go in that wrap as well. And we've got some green olives here. These are not pitted, so I am going to have to make sure I do pit those before putting those in. But they're going to add just a little salty sourness. I think it'll work really, really well. We've got some lemon here just to squeeze over. We are going to do fries as well, so it's going to be almost like a gyros to go in there with them. And then we've got some dried oregano and some smoked paprika. It would be loads better if I did have some fresh oregano, but I don't. We're using what's in the cupboard, and that's all good. So with all that in mind, guys, why don't we get started and I'll show you what you need to do. Alright guys, so this is our halloumi. What we're going to do first of all, we're going to basically soak it a little bit, because obviously halloumi is brined and I don't want to have that much salt content in there. I do want it to kind of lose some of that. So we've taken off our board, we've sharpened our knife so it's nice and honed, and then we're just going to put it flat edge down and we're going to cut it into sort of wrap size chunks. Going for 4 with those. That's about what we're looking for. So around about 1 inch deep. These as thick as you need them to be. We're going to put them in a bowl. Put the bowl in some water. Just enough to cover the halloumi. And then we're going to leave that while we crack on with everything else. Now let's make some sauces. Alright guys, so here we are, we're going to make the sauce. And we're going to use 3 things to make our first sauce. Our second one, as I said before, is just going to be that pomegranate and mango chutney, just to add some sweetness to it. So this is going to be almost like a tzatziki. I don't know whether it's super traditional, but it's good, and that's what we want. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to get our garlic. We're just going to bash it with a knife and peel off the paper sides that we don't want. Now if you can't do it, don't bother. Just chop, chop. It should peel away for you there. There we go. And then we're going to take this. This is a microplane. We're going to use the microplane just to allow us to get just a garlic grating as opposed to chunks. We don't want it to be sort of chunky in the mouth, as it were. That would be too much. Slide it across, there we go. Beautiful. Using a spoon a little bit to our hands if we need to. I do, because I like to get it on my hands. Fine. So next step is we're going to add in the natural yogurt. So let me wash off my hands slightly and we'll have a look what we're doing with that. So we have got our garlic in there. I've just kind of tidied that up a little bit as well. We've got all the extra excess that I may have missed the first time. So we're going to open up our natural yogurt. We're just going to put in about a spoonful. I don't want loads because I'm not actually doing a massive amount in this recipe. Obviously if I was doing this for 3 or 4, I'd use a bit more of that tub, but realistically we're just going to add a little bit in, and then we take some of our mint sauce. I'm going to need a spoon. Let me get that spoon. I'm back. So we're going to add in maybe half a spoon. These are just ordinary tablespoons, dessert spoons, whatever you want to call them. There we go, that's our mint sauce. And then I'm just going to mix it all together so it becomes a nice mint yogurt. Obviously, if you're doing this fancy and you're not just using stuff from the store cup like I am, you could use regular fresh mint, some cucumber, really making a nice fresh sauce. But for me, like I say, I'm just using what I've got in the store cupboard, which is mint sauce, and then just a sprinkle of salt in there as well, just to make sure we're going to get some seasoning, and a little squeeze of lemon as well, just to add extra to that freshness. That's how the sauce is done. We've got this bad boy here, which is our tzatziki. We're going to add in a spoon of the pomegranate and mango chutney when we're ready. But now, it's time for bread, so let's do that. Alright, so ready for the easiest bread recipe you'll ever see in your life? It's not going to get much easier than this. So we're going to add some natural yogurt into the bowl, and it is just the same yogurt that we were using earlier. Go. I have reserved some just in case, but that's it. Then we're going to add in some flour. I'm not going to add all of it in at once. Realistically with flour, there's loads of other things you're going to do, how much gluten you've got in it, how many proteins you've got, how much water it absorbs. So this is not a set recipe. You just add in as much water as you think you need, as much flour as you think you need to go with your yogurt. And we're going to add some salt. Now you can add baking powder or bicarb into this as well if you think it will help with the rise, or you can use self-raising flour. I'm just using ordinary plain flour. And then we get our hands in. We use our hands to mix and make sure that we get this together to form a dough. So mix. So you can see it's really wet there. So we are going to add some more flour. Just keep mixing. Needs it. Remember guys, we are looking for this to be like a bread dough. So I'm going to keep mixing and adding flour until this comes together, and I'll show you what it should look like. Alright guys, so we can see we've got now it's coming together like a dough. It's still just mixed around with our hands. Keep that going round. And it is coming together rather nicely, so we have a dough at long last. So we're going to get this dough off our fingers, we're going to flour up our board, roll it out, and I'll show you what we do after that. Alright guys, so we have floured our bench, we've got our dough on, and we're about ready to roll. So we're just going to kind of work it out a little bit and make it so that it's able to be rolled out. Now I'll be honest, this is probably going to do two for me. So let's cut it in half, and we'll do two. When cutting in half, always use a dough scraper if you can, or if not, a sharp knife will work really well. It just allows you to move it around, get those clean cuts without damaging what you've got. So we are just going to keep rolling this round and get it ready to roll out. Don't be overly concerned about seams or whatever. The aim is to make it kind of a little bit rustic, I guess. So when we're ready to go, let's just roll it. If it starts to stick, take some of the board flour, put it in, it's all good. Now ideally you do want it to be round for this sort of meal, so like a halloumi wrap, something like that. You do want it to be round so that you can obviously wrap everything properly. You can roll it into a square, I guess, if you wanted to, but we're going to do this. And then basically, once you've got the right size, you just toss it between your hands, twisting while you go, and you will slap it into shape. If you do get rips in, like I have, that's no problem. You can just pull it and squeeze it back together until it works. So that in essence is what you do. We've got it there, kind of ready to go. Roll a little bit there just to seal those. Don't be too worried about gaps though, and balls and stuff. All good. We're pretty much ready to go. I'll maybe give this one last stretch and a turn. We're going to use this one. It's rustic enough, but that's okay. And let me show you what you need to do next. Alright, so we're going to cook this a slightly different way than you would usually think. We are using an upturned wok. So, I'll just put this on my highest heat. We're going to put the wok on and we're going to let it heat up. There we go. Now, all you need to do is add the bread. So bread on. And then we're just going to let that cook through. So you'll see this is starting to now cook. So then we just flip a little bit just to give it even coverage. And like I say, don't worry about the holes. It's all good as these cook through. These, even though there is there, the sauce still isn't going to come out. So it's all good. Now we just wait. Now as you can see, as the heat's being applied, we're starting to get puffed up bubbles. That's what we want. And then we'll check again and we're going to flip again. So as you can see, those puffed up bubbles have given us all of these brown caramelised bits around, which are exactly what we want. And then we're just going to add the bread, once it's ready, into a tea towel to keep warm and not dry out. Alright guys, so it's time to just kind of make the other accompaniments that are going to go with our selection, really. So, we're going to slice our red onion, easiest way, slice right down the middle. I don't want to have loads, I only want a half. Discard all of the papery bits. I don't need the outer bits. And then we're going to cut off this end. So you leave the stalk on, take off the root, you peel the bits that you need here, and it just helps to keep everything together. And we're slicing. I'm going to do rings. I think personally they'll work better than the wrap. I'm not doing loads, so just a few there. Dismantle those when you're ready. Lettuce. Now this is the baby jam. Usually you would just take the leaves off, use them as lettuce cups or whatever, they're great for those, but for me, I'm going to use it for this just by slicing down and getting those rings of great lettuce there to go in. Go, move those to the back. Use the onion and the lettuce. And finally with the olives, because these aren't pitted, like I say, we do need to pit them, so just in at the side, rotate it around. And it should, I say it should, I need to take that off. If not, just chunk them, that's alright. You can of course buy proper olive pitters, but I don't need any of those, that's fine. This is just rustic, it doesn't have to be fancy, but we are just going to squish these because the pit didn't come out as easy as they have on other types. So that's our salad and stuff ready to go in. What we've got to do now is basically put these in bowls ready for when we're ready to wrap. And then we're going to make some fries to go in. So we're going to do a 2 fry on those. I'll show you how to do those, and then we're going to fry off that halloumi. The humble potato, chips, fries, mash, roast, whatever it is, it's amazing. It's no different for this dish. So we're going to start by using a speedy or Swiss peeler to take all of the skin off. We do want all of the skin off as best we can. And if you're using quite rusty potatoes like I am, you may have eyes and stuff in there. That's cool, just keep peeling, taking the bits off until you get it looking how you want. Peeled, nice and easy. Don't worry about if it's a bit bruised and stuff, it still eats the same. They are just sugars. So then we're going to cut. Alright guys, so you can see I've got some cut up here. We are just going to go for sort of matchstick size. We're not on about doing anything fancy. Like usually you would square these off, make them all exactly the same size and jenga them up. But we don't want chunky chips, we don't want fancy chips. This is just a rusty wrap, of course. So get your potato, cut down to give yourself a nice surface. Start that bit for now. And then slice in. We all know how to cook fries or chips or whatever it is you want to call them. We all know how to do it. see frying, which I'll show you in just a second. But as you can see, I've got kind of a ready to go. These maybe just need half in. There we go. Perfect for wrapping, because if they're too big they won't wrap properly, and that's all good. So we've got our fries. Let me show you what we do with them. So I've tried loads of ways to make this look more appealing, but you can't really, it's a deep fat fryer. So we're going to do our first fry at around about 140, 150. We're doing it in batches, so we're not doing a whole amount. There's not an awful lot in that pan at all. So what we're going to do, we're going to sink them, and then we're going to give them a shake just to make sure that they don't stick. And we keep shaking until we're ready. So let me show you them coming out once they're ready. So this is fry one. They're not totally done at all. They're just partially starting to brown. They're ready for the final cook, and we'll come back to that soon. We're ready to start cooking the halloumi. Now the halloumi, I've taken out of the water and I've patted it dry, so it is dry as a touch. And then we're just going to put it down, flat side down, into a dry pan. I've had this preheating. Non-stick would be better, but cast iron will work really, really well. And we're just going to fry this until it's brown on one side and flip. So we're just ready to flip some of these. Now you can see some of them are broken, that's okay. It's just as the moisture comes out, it stops them broken apart. But when we do flip, we just want to make sure that they're going together. And that is the sort of coloration you're looking for. Get this one. Yeah, I'm starting to get the colour there. This one. Beautiful. And the last one. Yeah. Move that a bit more centrally there. And that's basically what we do. We're just kind of heating it through, making sure it stays nice and creamy, making sure that we're getting that good colour on it. I will bring it just a little bit closer so you guys can see it. That is the sort of colour that we're going for throughout. So we'll just leave that, and then we're getting ready to assemble. We're going to do our next fry. We're doing this at basically the top 190. We're just going to do this until they're brown. Again, shaking all the time. Alright, so the fries are done. They need to be that brown, and then I'll show you what we're going to do just to flavour them. Alright, so we are going to flavour our fries with some wonderful ingredients. We've got some oregano dried, we've got some salt, some small paprika, and a squeeze of lemon. So add the fries in. It's best to do this when they are hot from the oil if you can, just to make sure everything sticks. And we're going to spice and flip, and again spice and flip. And then just a squeeze of lemon, just to add a touch more freshness, and they're ready to go in the wrap. So it's time to assemble. So what we're going to do, guys, I'm going to take just a layer of our minty yogurt, dot that around, put that to one side. Then I'm going to add the lettuce that we've got as well. Put a bit of lettuce in there, some onion, add some sharpness. Some of the olives to add some sourness and saltiness throughout, and then we're going to add on our lovely wedges of halloumi. Now you may notice I'm building up. Well, that's because what we're going to do, we're going to wrap up and over. So add some of this chutney in on the top. Now if you can't get hold of this chutney, that's fine. A normal mango chutney, an onion chutney, a sweet chilli sauce, anything like that would be great. And then our lovely fries that we've got on there as well. And we'll just move these out the way. Alright, so to finish off, we've moved everything out the way. We've moved this slightly off, so we're just going to fold over, over, and over. Go. going to cinch in using a tin foil. It's almost like an envelope. Like that. Pretty much ready to serve there. So you can, if you wanted to, obviously wrap over the top if you're transporting, but if you're not, you just open it up, put the tin foil down, and take a big old bite. That's good. So there you go, guys. That is how you make it. Let's give it a little go. Sorry about that. It is really, really good. So, if you've seen how to make it, please give it a go. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Lock below your recipes for it and let me know what you guys would do differently. But I've been Johnny at Johnny Cooks Food. Cheers for tuning in, guys. Bye-bye.